Chari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Jagirari Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. So Hare Krishna to all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. I'm very grateful to His Grace Manibhushan Prabhuji, Sudarshan Vasudev Prabhuji, and His Grace Shivguna Prabhuji, His Grace Sudarshan Vasudev Prabhuji, His Grace Shivguna Prabhuji for giving me this opportunity to glorify Srimad Bhagavatam. I'm not at all qualified to glorify Srimad Bhagavatam, but will do so on the instructions received from my superiors and for my own purification. So I would like to humbly request your kind blessings for me to do complete justice to today's class. So today we will be covering Canto number 3, chapter number 20, text number 25. Canto number 3, chapter 20, text number 25. So we'll start with some prayers and then we will get into the class. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naran Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Hare Krishna. So we will read the sloka, the translation and the purport. Srimad Bhagavatam 3.20.25. Saupavrajya varadam Prapannarti haram harim anugrahaya bhaktanam anurupatma darshanam saupavrajya varadam prapannarti haram harim anugrahaya bhaktanam anurupatma darshanam saupavrajya varadam prapannarti haram harim anugrahaya bhaktanam anurupatma darshanam. Synonyms: Sa, Lord Brahma; Upavrajya, approaching; Varadham, the bestower of all boons; Prapanna, of those taking shelter at his lotus feet; Arti, distress; Haram, who dispels; Harim, Lord Sri Hari; Anugrahaya, for showing mercy; Bhaktanam, to his devotees; Anurupa, in suitable forms; Atma Darshanam, to manifest himself. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation: He approached the personality of Godhead, who bestows all boons and who dispels the agony of all his devotees, and for those who take shelter of his lotus feet. He manifests his innumerable transcendental forms for the satisfaction of his devotees. Purport: Here, the words Bhaktanam Anurupatma Darshanam means that the personality of Godhead manifests his multi-forms according to the desires of the devotees. For example, Hanumanji wanted to see the form of the Lord as the personality of Godhead Ramachandra, whereas other Vaishnavas want to see the form of Radha Krishna, and still other devotees want to see the Lord in the form of Lakshmi Narayana. The Mayavadi philosophers think that although all these forms are assumed by the Lord, just as the devotees desire to see him, actually he is impersonal. From the Brahma Samhita, however, we can understand that this is not so, for the Lord has multi forms. It is said in the Brahma Samhita, Advaitam Achyutam, the Lord does not appear before the devotee because of the devotee's imagination. Brahma Samhita further explains that the Lord has innumerable forms. Ramadi Murti Kala Niyamena Tishtan. He exists in millions and millions of forms. There are 8.4 million species of living entities, but incarnations of the Supreme Lord is innumerable. In the Bhagavatam, it is stated that as the waves in the sea cannot be counted but appear and disappear continually, the incarnations and the forms of Lord are innumerable. A devotee is attached to a particular form, and it is that form which he worships. We have just described the first appearance of the boar within this universe. There are innumerable universes, and somewhere or the other, the boar form is now existing. All the forms of the Lord are eternal. It is the devotee inclination to worship a particular form, and he engages in devotional service to that form. In a verse in Ramayana, Hanuman, the great devotee of Lord Rama, said, I know that there is no difference between Sita Rama, Lakshmi and Narayana forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but nevertheless the form of Rama and Sita has absorbed my affection and love. Therefore, I want to see the Lord in the forms of Lord Rama and Sita. Similarly, the Gaudiya Vaishnava loves the forms of Radha and Krishna and Rukmini at Dwaraka. The words Bhaktanam Anurupatma Darshanam means that the Lord is always pleased to favor the devotee in the particular form in which the devotee wants to worship and render service unto him. In this verse, it is stated that Brahma approached Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in this form. Supreme Personality of Godhead. This form of Lord Kshirodakashaya Vishnu. Whenever there is some trouble and Brahma has to approach the Lord, he can approach Kshirodakashaya Vishnu. And it is the grace of the Lord that whenever Brahma approaches about disturbances in the universe, the Lord gives him relief in so many ways. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishnapashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Dinamine. Namaste Saraswateve Gaurvani Pachalini Shunnyavadi Pashyadade Sarni Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So it's a very beautiful verse. So we will just discuss a bit of a background and then we'll get into the actual verse. So as we all know, Lord Sri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, and from whom the three creative incarnations, namely the Purusha avatars, appear or expand rather. So the three Purusha avatars are Karnodakasai Vishnu, Garbhodakasai Vishnu, and Shirodakasai Vishnu. So the whole material creation is conducted by these three Purushas in successive stages under the external energy of Lord Krishna. So we all know that Bhagavan is Swarat. He is completely independent and he does not have any desires. So why does he then create this material world? People might think that he is doing it for his own satisfaction, but actually it is not the case. So he creates this material world in order to fulfill the desires of the conditioned souls, because they want to have they want to have this illusionary enjoyment, and they have actually rebelled against the Supreme Lord, and they have not performed the transcendental service for time immemorial. So in order for the conditioned souls to have this kind of an illusory arrangement, Bhagavan actually creates this material world. And in a way, Bhagavan can be called as a chief engineer. See, we talk about civil engineering, mechanical engineering, chemical engineering, and different kinds of engineering. So the supreme engineer is actually Bhagavan, who has actually created this entire material manifestation. In Bhagavad Gita 9.10, it said, Maya dakshena prakriti suyate characharam hetu nanena kaunteya jagat vipari vartate. So what does it mean? He says, Lord Krishna tells Arjuna, hey Kaunteya, this material nature is one of my energies, and it is actually working under my direction. So this entire material nature is something like a big machine. Like how our bodies are compared to a big machine, this actually body is actually matter. Okay, but this matter get like how somebody has, if this machine, if the Srila Prabhupada always gives the example, there's a big machine, and if the machine has to start, there needs to be a person who has to switch on the machine. Okay, but today, okay, this example, people might not find this example pleasing because we are talking about artificial intelligence, we are talking about mechanization, etc. Leave that. But from a perspective, somebody has to start, so the process of starting or switching on the button is actually the spiritual touch which is there for the matter to become operative. So this is a very important understanding that the practitioners of Sanatana Dharma should have. Otherwise, if they don't have this kind of an understanding, the philosophies that come within is going to be very difficult. So in 9.10, Bhagavan, Lord Krishna says that this entire material nature is one of his energies, and it is working under my direction. In the next verse, he talks about avajananti mamuda. So why does he say that? He's saying that although I am the one who's actually controlling the entire universal affairs, there are a lot of Mudatmas. These Mudatmas are actually they don't understand this, and they challenge the supremacy of Lord Krishna. So this Buddha is a person who is actually bereft of proper intelligence. He doesn't have that proper intelligence. He's often, Prabhupada used to give the example of a donkey or an ass, where this particular, especially this scenario is quite prevalent in the remote part of India, where every washerman or the dobiwala, as we call them, they have a few donkeys. So these donkeys are made to carry huge loads of clothes, for being washed, and it carries a huge load on its back. Why? For some little grass, some few morsel of grass. So what happens? This donkey every day religiously, it stands in the front of the washerman's door to actually carry on this load of clothes, and it is very happy that the master, the so-called master, is going to provide some grass for it to eat. But actually, the ironical aspect of it is the stupid donkey does not understand that why I should go and stand in the front of the master's door. This grass is available across. If it is actually, if he pays attention, there's grass everywhere. But it's expecting the master to give the grass to carry this huge load of clothes. So this actually is actually no intelligence. This is considered as there is a person with no intelligence. So a person with no intelligence doesn't understand who's actually the supreme controller. And in 14.4, Krishna says, Aham bija pradapika. I am the seed-giving father. So Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna is the original father of all the living entities. So here in chapter 20, canto 3, we have seen a few verses where at some point of time in this creation, the Godhead, when he expands as Karanodak Sai Vishnu, actually he's actually lying in the ocean, the Karana ocean, and he is producing thousands and thousands of universes just by his breathing. So, and then what happens? So the millions of thousands and millions of universes are being produced, and within each of the universes, he is entering as Garbhodak Sai Vishnu. And when he is actually in the form of a Garbhodak Sai Vishnu, a lotus flower sprouts out of his abdomen, and the first living entity, Brahmaji, appears, right? And then Kshirodaka Sai Vishnu, he appears in the heart of each and every living entity, including that of Brahmaji. So we have Karanodaka Sai Vishnu, from whom the universes all emanate. Then we have Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, who enters into each and every universe. And from in Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, the lotus flower sprouts from his abdomen, from where the first living creature entity gets produced, which is Lord Brahma. And then we have the Kshirodaka Sai Vishnu, who's actually entering into the heart of every living entity, including Brahmaji. So here we have seen in Bhagavad Gita in the 15th chapter, we have seen Sarvasya Chakam Visannivishto Mattasmritir Jnanam Apohanam Cha Vedescha Sharvair Ahameva Vedyo Vedanta Veda Vidya Chakam. So here we have seen that as Kshirodaka Sai Vishnu enters into the heart of every living entity, here the reference is Bhagavan is actually seated as Paramatma in every heart. So because of this Paramatma, what happens? Three things happen, okay, as a combination or in isolation. What are these things? Remembrance. Whatever we remember comes from him. Whatever knowledge that we acquire and possess, it is from him. And whatever we forget, it is also from him. And the most important thing is, by all the Vedas, Krishna is actually to be known. So here you have seen the beautiful reference that comes through, right? So Lord Brahma, being the first living entity, is now actually empowered. Empowered to what? To actually start the creation. So he is basically the secondary creator. Therefore, to do this creation, he requires intelligence. Yes or no? And this intelligence or this empowerment comes from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the Lord, as a super soul within Brahmaji, has given him the intelligence to create. And therefore, this creative power, and this associated creative power for every living entity also comes from the grace of the Supreme Lord. So to consider ourselves as independent from the Supreme Lord is actually like a Mudatma. So we should not behave like a Mudatma, thinking that everything is in my control. Sorry. And I have the I am empowered. I'm not really empowered. I am the powerful. If you think that I am the powerful, without understanding the fact that I am empowered by the Supreme Lord, then we all are behaving like Buddhas. So here, so Brahmaji in Canto 3, chapter 20, the verses just before 25, we have just have a small recap. So here, Brahmaji actually created from his shadow the coverings of ignorance of the conditioned soul. So we have seen in the previous classes about the 5 different aspects of it. What are they? We have seen about Tamishra. We have spoken about Anda Tamishra. We have spoken about Tamas. We have spoken about Moha, and we have spoken about Mahamoha. So what are these? Let us quickly have a recap. So in case of Tamishra, Tamishra is a condition of anger. So here what happens? Why are we becoming angry? Why are we becoming envious? So this is some question that we have to ask ourselves. We are becoming angry because of the forgetfulness of our constitutional position. And because of the forgetfulness of the constitutional position, we actually become angry and we become envious. So constitutionally, if you see, each and every living entity has some little minute independence that is given. Okay. But the problem is when we misuse this minute independence of this conditioned soul, thinking that I also want to be like a supreme enjoyer like Krishna, and why can't I be free to enjoy like Krishna? This is actually causing the forgetfulness, which is eventually leading to, which is because of the anger and envy that we have. So this is the Tamishra. Andathamishra. What is Andathamishra? This is even more bewildering, that it is considered that on death, everything comes to an end. Yes, in a way that the matter ceases to exist. It is going in oblivion. That is true. But it is not the cause, because we are the spirit souls. These atheists actually believe that once the body is dead, everything is actually sum up. So what they say, what is the kind of philosophy that these people who are not in the soul platform, what do they say? They always want to say, one life, let me enjoy it. And what does this enjoyment means? Let me fully, wholeheartedly gratify my senses. And this is called Andathamishra. So Andathamishra, the root cause of Andathamishra is due to tamas. So we have seen Tamishra, which is basically the anger aspect of it. Andathamishra is basically we think that everything comes to an end upon the death of this particular body. And this is caused because of tamas. And what is this tamas? This tamas is a condition which was explained earlier, that we are not being aware that we are actually a spirit soul. So what happens? This we also see in this material world. Prabhupada says in his purport that 99% of the living entities are in this body platform and they are not in the soul platform. So next, let us go on to moha. What is moha? As the attachments, as the desires actually increases, the so-called moha, the so-called illusion from a bodily concept also keeps increasing, right? It keeps increasing. It is like actually filling this dry leaves in a bottomless pit. In the olden days, we used to have a house with a big ground, and all these leaves and debris which were used to be there around, they used to dig a big pit and they used to keep putting it, and they will close it and that becomes manure. But assume that the pit is bottomless. How much ever you want to fill the pit, it will never get filled. So that is how this moha is. The moha keeps increasing, and there is no actually end to it. So more and more we are in this kind of in desire that I am the body. Everything belongs to the body. The body is mine. So what happens? This illusionary aspect of it is actually getting compounded, and this whole world is put into moha. And what is the result of this moha? We have sectarianism, we have different kinds of societies, we have so many different types of families, we have so many different types of nationalities, we have different types of creed, we have different types. There's actually so much of bifurcation. End of day, we are not considering ourselves as spirit soul. If we are considering ourselves as a spirit soul, there is only one. If we don't consider ourselves as a spirit soul, everything becomes many. And when there is many, there is actually complication, because different people will have different kinds of perception. I am this nationality, I'm that nationality, I am superior to you, I am inferior to you, you are white, I am black, I am this, you are that. So it becomes, and the whole world today, if you see the kind of how this world is getting impacted, every day we see there is so much of negative news that is actually happening around us, because we are not actually considering ourselves as a spirit soul, and that is actually leading to moha. So what is mahamoha? Mahamoha is being mad after material enjoyment. In this Kali Yuga, everyone is actually overwhelmed by this madness. I want to accumulate money. I'm satisfied with 1 lakh rupees. Then I'm satisfied with 10 lakh rupees. Then I'm not satisfied with 10 lakh rupees. I want 20 lakhs. I want 1 crore. I want 2 crores. I want 5 crores. There is no end to it, because of the Mahamoha influence. Because I want to enjoy this material nature more and more and more. So I find all kinds of ways and means by which I want to. So here, Brahmaji actually, out of disgust, after he created this body of ignorance, he actually threw it. And once he threw it, what happens? These yakshas and rakshasas sprang for the possession of this body, which continue to exist in the form of night. And night, as we all know, is actually the source of hunger and thirst. And in the next verse, what we saw, overpowered by this hunger and thirst, both this yakshas and rakshasas started chasing Brahmaji. And Brahmaji started crying and he started screaming. He said, please spare me. But these both the yakshas and rakshasas said, spare him not. Eat him up. Let us eat him up. And then Brahmaji says, you are actually my children. Please don't do this. Please don't do this. But these people were both the yakshas and rakshasas, who are actually the original creation of Lord Brahma, actually, did not want to heed to this. So, if you see, just imagine the condition of Brahmaji when he is created, he himself was actually completely bewildered. Then what had happened? He actually created the demigods, the devatas, and who are in the form of effulgent light. And then Lord Brahma actually gave birth to the demons from his buttocks. And these demons were very, very lusty. Because they were too lusty, they actually approached him for copulation. And then what had happened? Initially, Brahmaji was actually laughing at their stupidity, but the shameless asuras or the demons came actually very close to him, and actually this very outraged. So he ran out of here. So up to this is the bit of a background that we have seen in the previous verses. Now, actually, let us look into the actual verse that we are actually going to study. Here, Lord Brahmaji is actually approaching the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we have seen earlier that whenever there's any problem, whether it is for Lord Brahma or it is for anybody, the first thing that we do is we actually run to Lord Vishnu, we run to Lord Krishna, because he is our ultimate savior. So if you look at the translation that is given in this particular verse 3.20.25, Srila Prabhupada says the Supreme Personality Godhead actually bestows all boons. No, in fact, he has got another name. His name is called Varadaraj. Varadaraj means he's the one who bestows us with a lot of boons. And he not only bestows us with boons, he also dispels our agony. For whom? He dispels the agony of his devotees and the ones who have actually taken complete shelter of his lotus feet. So to such personalities, Bhagavan is actually there to protect and to dispel of the agony. So, and Krishna obviously protects his devotees and surrendered souls, and this is widely explained in various pastimes of Lord Krishna, and even in the Bhagavad Gita, there are so many slokas which talks about how he is ready to save his devotees. So let us dwell on that for the next 5-10 minutes. So we all know the examples of Draupadi, we know the example of Gajendra, we have the example of Prahlad Maharaj, the Pandavas, the Brajvasis. So time and time again, they were actually tormented by various calamities, various problems, issues. But they were not like they were ready to face these calamities because they knew that Krishna is there. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna Yatta Partho Dhanudaraha Tatra Sri Vijayar Bhuti Dhuvani Itir Matirmama. So here Sanjaya says, wherever there's Krishna, wherever there's Yogeshwara is there, and wherever there's Arjuna, there is actually a lot of opulence, morality, and victory. So wherever Krishna is there, we can be rest assured that he will actually protect us and take care of us. So in 9.31, the beautiful sloka says, Kaunteya Pratijanihi Name Bhakta Pranashyati. So Bhagavan says, oh Arjuna, you go, Kaunteya, because you see, both Krishna and Arjuna have so many names referred in Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna, Arjuna is called Arjuna, he is called Budakesha, he's called Dhananjaya, and he's also fondly known as Kaunteya. So by calling Arjuna's Kaunteya, Krishna is just establishing a closeness with Arjuna, right? So because who's Kunti Devi? Kunti Devi is his auntie. So Arjuna is auntie's son. So whenever, when we are very close to some personalities or people whom we believe that we are very close, we call them we are fondly call them by some pet names, right? Or some close names. We call them in a different way. So similarly here, Krishna is addressing Arjuna's Kaunteya. Kaunteya Pratijanihi. Hey Kaunteya, oh son of Kunti, please boldly declare that my devotee never perishes. So why he is doing so? Why is he asking Arjuna to do so? Because sometimes Krishna is also feeling, suppose if I am going to tell this to the public, they may not take me seriously. But when a sincere devotee is going to talk about it, people will definitely believe this. So here for the Lord Vishnu, if you see, and for that matter, Lord Krishna, they have this disc, they have the Sudarshana Chakra. They are always readily available. Shankha Chakra, Gada Padma. So he's keeping this the Sudarshana Chakra to actually, to make because Sudarshana Chakra is very fearful, right, to the non-devotees. So he is actually keeping it ready to vanquish any enemies of the devotees. So if you see this beautiful example of Ambarish Maharaj that all of us know, so Ambarish Maharaj was fully engaged in devotional service. He was actually, he was following Ekadashi Vrat so beautifully that, Durvasa Muni, created a problem. So what had happened? So as you all know, that Lord Krishna, Namo Brahmane Devaya, Go Brahman Hitaya Cha, Jagatitaya Krishnaya, Govindaya Namo Namaha. Lord Krishna is actually, he protects the Brahmanas and the cows, right? So he's a well-wisher of Brahmanas. But what has happened, Durvasa Muni, although being a great Brahmana, he was actually not a devotee. So what had happened, he was actually, he was not actually performing any devotional service per se. He was a great mystic yogi, and he was actually self-centered. He was self-interested. So the proof of this whole episode is that Durvasa Muni, because of the anger, he created a demon to kill Maharaj Ambarisha, because Maharaj Ambarisha did not wait for him and he had water to break his Parana, his Ekadasi Parana on Dwadasi day. So when he did so, Ambarish Maharaj was not worried. He was fixed in his place and he was just praying to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he says, it's your wish, whatever has to happen, you please take care. So whereas Durvasa Muni was actually when he wanted to create a problem for the devotees, immediately Sudarshana Chakra took Sudarshana Chakra Bhagavan became angry, and Sudarshana Chakra started actually chasing Durvasa Muni. So Durvasa Muni was running from one corner to the other, and at last, in the fear to save his life, he went to Lord Brahma and he went to Lord Shiva. Then he went to Lord Vishnu, and it only goes to show that finally Lord Vishnu says, I am not independent of my devotees. So if you want to save yourself, you just to go and fall at King Ambarish's feet. So here we have to understand that Bhagavan is there. He certainly tries to give protection to all his devotees who give up everything for the sake of him. So this is what we have seen in this beautiful pastime, and in particular 9.31, where Lord Krishna is saying, Name Bhaktya Pranashyati, my devotee never perishes. So 9.22, what we have seen, I'm just trying to link this, because if you look at just this sloka per se, the content is small. So what I've done, I've tried my best to kind of link many slokas from Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam to give a perspective about how Lord Brahmaji is going to Lord Krishna to save himself from these demoniac characters, which is actually the theme of Canto 3, Chapter 20 and verse number 25. Right. So in 9.22, so this is what we have seen in 9.31, and in 9.22, the famous sloka, all of you know it by heart. Ananyas chintayantoma hejanaha aparyupasate teshamukyanam yogakshemam mahamya. So here again, Bhagavan says, those who actually worship me in exclusive devotion, one is exclusivity of devotion and meditating on my transcendental form, for them, I carry, what they lack and I preserve what they have. So this is a very assuring sloka, in Bhagavad Gita. And if you just meditate only on this sloka of Bhagavad Gita, which has got 700 verses, if you just meditate on this particular sloka, it is so assuring that one is we have to perform worship. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Mandam, Dasim, Sakyam, Atmani Vedanam. So here it talks about worship. So we have to do the exclusive worship of the Supreme Lord. Then you actually try to meditate on the transcendental form, because Bhagavan is a Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Mayavadis consider him to be light and impersonal form, but no. So one is the aspect of worship, doing Dandavat Pranams, etc. That is on one side. One aspect is to meditate on the transcendental form, because only once you meditate on the transcendental form, you can actually engage and you can develop love and affection. And for such personality, Bhagavan is saying, I will carry what you like. He personally carries that person whenever he lacks something, And then next aspect is, and he preserves whatever they have. So they will not lose anything in the process. They will never lose. They will only be the gainers. So here at this juncture, there's a very beautiful story, which all of you know again, which crosses my mind, regarding this particular sloka. So there's a famous story of Arjunacharya, where this particular pastime or a story of Arjunacharya, which actually substantiates the truth of this assurance. The assurance that is provided by Lord Krishna. So this Arjunacharya and his wife were actually simple and humble devotees. They were actually living in a small hermitage or hut or whatever you call it. And every day morning, they used to do their prayers, and Arjunacharya was actually regular in reading Bhagavad Gita. And what he used to do, since he was completely engaged in devotional service, And the wife also was completely engaged in devotional service. They didn't go to work to earn some money. So they used to go to the nearby village, around the surrounding villages, etc., to get some alms. So what, as a principle, Arjunacharya used to visit only 3 houses. Suppose if he doesn't find prasadam within the 3 houses, he will consider that, okay, today it is Krishna's wish that me and my wife will not eat. So he used to, as a principle, only to go to 3 houses, and he used to accept whatever alms that was available, and that day they will use that particular food to make bhoga for the Supreme Lord and eat as prasadam. And his daily activity was to write commentary on Bhagavad Gita, spending hours and hours and hours of reading and writing. So one day what had happened, he was so engrossed that he forgot actually to go to the village to get his food. Sometimes it happens, when we are so busy in our devotional service, we might forget to do our routine materialistic activities, right? Like, for example, Janmashtami Day, or Srila Prabhupada's appearance day, or Balram Jayanti, or Srimati Radharani's appearance day, Radhashtami. So we might be, doing a lot of devotional service, and we might tend to forget some of our material activities. But for Arjunacharya, he was always engrossed, and today he became extra engrossed. So what had happened? It crossed the noon time, and then what had happened? The ladies of when he went, the ladies of villages, they closed their house and they were resting. So there was no food. So he came back empty-handed. So then what he said? Okay, fine. It's Krishna's mercy that today I should not eat. Suppose if this would have happened to us, what would have said? We would have cursed Krishna. See, I'm reading Bhagavad Gita every day. You are not giving me food today, right? But that was not really the intention of the mood of Arjunacharya, because everything was Krishna Kripa, Krishna Kripa, Krishna Kripa, Krishna Kripa. So this Arjunacharya, then he said, okay, fine, no problem. Let me do some productive work. Again, let me start reading. Now, what had happened? He kept a bookmark. He kept a bookmark, and the bookmark was exactly, he is about to start this particular sloka of 9.22. Anyashchantayantoma yajanaha parvipasate tesha nityabhyuktanam yogakshemam. See, as practitioners of Krishna consciousness, sometimes, we are, at least I'm talking about myself. If I have to talk about myself, the doubt or the anxiety always keeps cropping up once in a while, So this Arjunacharya, being an elevated devotee, normally he is always fixed in in Shraddha, right? So this Arjunacharya opened this particular 9.22, and he's reading. What is he reading? You always worship me. Krishna says, please always worship me. No, Krishna doesn't say please. He says, always worship me with exclusive devotion. Meditate upon my transcendental form. For such personalities, what he will do? I will personally carry whatever they lack. So which means, if they don't have something, Bhagavan is actually going to provide that. And I'll preserve whatever they have. So Arjunacharya, suddenly, the mind is sometimes not stable. So he was thinking, there is some printing mistake in this particular sloka. What is the printing mistake? How can Lord says, Vahamyaham, I personally carry? There must be a printing mistake. So I think this is not correct. So what he did, he scratched that line. Which line he scratched? Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. Yoga Kshemam. Yoga is your family affairs. Kshemam is your well-being. So this Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham, I personally carry your family affairs. He said something is actually wrong. So what he did, he actually scored it off. Then he told his wife, okay, today, I have finished my reading. Let me go and have bath. Then again, I'll come back and read. So what had happened? He went to the river, which was quite far away from his house. So then what happened? In the meanwhile, 2 boys, one boy who's the color of a rain-bearing cloud, and the other boy who was actually fair in color, came to the house of Arjunacharya. And what did they come? They didn't come empty-handed. They came with loads and loads of rice, loads and loads of spices, loads and loads of vegetables, loads and loads of fruit, loads and loads of butter, loads and loads of dry fruits, loads and loads of dal, etc., etc. It was like a mini provision stores was being brought by these two boys, on a big bullock cart. And they came to Arjunacharya's house. They knocked the door. He said, Mataji, Mataji. Said, yes. When Mataji opened the door, she was quite dumbstruck, looking at the beautiful faces of these two boys, and asked, who are you? They introduced themselves. I am the disciples of your husband. So he has requested requested us to actually deliver these provisions. So she was very happy. She was thinking, why she was happy? She said, at least let me serve some nice bhoga for the Supreme Lord. Look at the mood. If something like that would have come to us immediately, we would have grabbed it and said, thank you very much. What is the list? How many kilos of sugar? How many kilos of dal? How many kilos of this you gave? What is the brand? Is this good? That is bad. What is the expiry date? We would have looked into so many material aspects. But this Mataji was not one bit bothered. She said, thank God, the two beautiful boys have come. They have actually delivered fantastic provisions, and I can make a lot of bhoga for the Supreme Lord, and I can offer it to my starving husband today. So then she asked them, thank you very much. You please, you people just wait. Let me do the cooking. Let me offer to the Supreme Lord, and your Guruji will also come by then. You can come and have prasadam with us. So these two boys said, no, thank you very much. We are going. Then as they turned, this Mataji was completely shocked. She saw scars on the back of the boy who has this, who was slightly in the grayish cloud, rain-bearing cloud color. No, she said, oh my God, oh my dear boy, what happened? Somebody has hurt you so badly. Then he was very hesitant. He said, tell me what happened? Who did this to you? You people are looking so beautiful and wonderful. Who did this for you? So he said, no, Mataji, please don't tell this. My Guruji, your husband only, has actually whipped me black and blue. So she was, she said, unbelievable. My husband is looking like one sadhu, he's such a soft-hearted person, I thought. So he has been so cruel to me, very bad. So she goes inside the room, she takes some sandal paste and applies it to the back of this boy. So then what had happened? And both the boys went, and she was very upset. And then what she said, let me start, doing the bhoga preparing the bhoga for the Supreme Lord. And she was crying and she was doing it. So in the meanwhile, Arjunacharya came back, and this Mataji did not even want to speak to him. So Arjunacharya said, Hare Krishna. So normally when somebody says Hare Krishna, you have to respond back, say Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam, how are you, etc. Right? So Arjunacharya asked, what happened? You're not speaking to me. See, normally what happens when the wife is, when the wife is angry, and if the husband says, what is the issue? If the wife tells something, no problem. If the wife is silent, then our anxiety becomes more and more, right? So Arjunacharya's anxiety was increasing because wife looks upset, but she's not telling why she's upset. So if you are in that kind of a situation, how you will be? It's a very precarious situation, right? So Mataji was silent. She was not opening her mouth. Then she said, I didn't expect that you are such a cruel personality. Said, what cruel person is Arjuna? Poor Arjunacharya. For him, morning to evening, he's in Bhagavad Smaran. He's always looking at Krishna and he's thinking about Krishna. So he was wondering what children she's talking about, what cruelty I have done. He's very, very confused. So then Mataji explains, both your disciples had come. First of all, he thinks, do I have disciples? I don't think I have disciples. Which disciples are talking about? She says, one boy was actually looking like in the form of a rain-bearing cloud. Another boy was very fair. These boys told that you have whipped them very nicely. Poor boys, they brought so much of provisions in our house, but you are so cruel to them. And he was wondering, he says, rain-bearing cloud? Must this be Krishna and Balaram? oh, I think it's Krishna and Balaram will come. And immediately he has got the presence of mind, immediately he runs and he goes to the 9.22. The scoring marks, the pen marks have actually completely vanished. Why it was vanished? Because his Mataji actually applied the school sandal paste on the body of Lord Krishna. So he said, oh, and he was completely, he was weeping. He said, oh, what a sin that I have performed. I have suspected, or I have cast doubt in the words of Lord Krishna. So he prays to the Supreme Lord, oh my Lord, please forgive me. This is my stupidity, out of sheer stupidity that I have done this. How can I challenge your beautiful words? It has come from the beautiful mouth, beautiful tongue of you, Bhagavad Gita. And how can I, consider this as something which is incorrect? And then he was very happy. He said, see, look, I have been doing so much of piety. I've been reading Bhagavad Gita, but I didn't get a chance to see Krishna and Balaram. But my wife, she had the great opportunity of seeing Lord Krishna and Lord Brahma face to face. So this is the beauty. So, so this is actually I'm just trying to, link it to this 9.22, whereby when Bhagavan gives such assurances, we have to accept it with humility. Whatever, it's just not 9.22. Any sloka that is Bhagavad Gita, we have to actually accept it with so much of humility because it has come from Lord Krishna. So another beautiful sloka from 1.8.9. So here, Uttara is actually, praying to the Supreme Lord. Pahi pahi mahayogin deva deva jagatpate nanyam tvat abhayam pashyat yatra mrityu parasparam. So here again, this disgraced Ashwatthama, actually what had happened, he sent the Brahmastra and he wanted to kill the unborn child of Uttara, which is actually the Uttara's wife of Arjuna, and the son that was in the womb of Uttara was Abhimanyu. So this unborn child is Parikshit Maharaj. Abhimanyu is the husband of Uttara. So the unborn child of Parikshit actually was facing death. So Uttara is actually praying to Lord Krishna. Pahi pahi mahayogin deva deva jagatpate. So she says, oh Lord, oh Supreme Lord, the Lord of the universe. So when I think of Lord of the universe, we are reminded of Lord Jagannath. Jagannath is actually Lord of universe. So you are the greatest mystic. You are the greatest mystic. Please protect me, for there is nobody else who can save. There is nobody. Rake Krishna mare Krishna rake ke. If Krishna wants to save, nobody can kill. If Krishna wants to kill, nobody can save. So this is the fundamental aspect that we have to understand. And Uttara understood it beautifully. She says, Pahi pahi mahayogin deva deva jagatpate. So you are the Jagatpati. You are the Lord of the universe. So please protect me. When I say protect me, also protect Parikshit Maharaj. Because, Parikshit Maharaj, if Parikshit Maharaj was not there, it would have been difficult for us to understand Srimad Bhagavatam, because Sukadev Goswami gives Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. So here, Bhaktanam Anurupatma Darshanam. So that is the next aspect of it. So till now, we have seen the first part of the sloka, which actually talks about how Bhagavan actually saves his devotees, how he's actually he dispels the agony of the devotees, and to those who are actually taking shelter of his lotus feet. So here in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan says, Sarva Dharman Parityacha Mamekam Sharanam Vraja Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Moksha. So this sloka has got two elements. The first element talks about the protective role of Bhagavan. The second part talks about how he reciprocates. We have seen Ye yatamam prapatyante tam sajeva bhajamyaham mama vartamanu vartate manushya pata sarvashah. So we have seen that aspect in terms of reciprocation. But here, this second part of the sloka talks about how Bhagavan, how there's a beautiful how there's a beautiful love between the devotees in the kind of form that they want to actually serve the Lordship. So here Prabhupada talks about Hanumanji, Hanumanji actually, he always wants to see the form of Lord Ramachandra and Mother Sita. So if you also see in Ramayana, he actually opens his chest and shows the beautiful form of Lord Ram and Sita Mata. And the Gaudiya Vaishnavas wants to see Radha and Krishna, and other devotees wants to see Lakshmi and Narayana. So depending on how you want to see the beautiful form of the Supreme Lord and his consort, accordingly, the reciprocation happens. But these Mayavadis, Mayavadi philosophers, what they acknowledge that there may be so many forms, but Bhagavan is impersonal. So that kind of a Mayavadi philosophy doesn't go well with the Gaudiya Sampradaya or Sri Sampradaya, etc. So I will just complete. I will try to finish the class in the next 10 minutes. So please bear with me. The class just went go beyond time. So stay back. So in the Brahma Samhita, we have seen this beautiful sloka where Srila Prabhupada mentions this in the purport here. Advaitam achyutam anadimanantarupam adyam purana purusham navayavvanam cha vedeshu durlabha durlabha atmavato govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. So here Advaitam means there is nobody second. So Bhagavan is number one. He is number one. That's why even in Bhagavad Gita he says Ekam, Mam Ekam, he says I am the number one, right? And Achyuta means we have seen Krishna has so many names. One of the very famous names is Achyuta because he is infallible. He doesn't fall, right? Anadim means he's actually without a beginning. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachitananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Satakarana Karanam. He doesn't have any beginning. Then Anantarupam, he has got form which is endless. We say no when we put the tila Keshavaya Namam, Narayana Namam, Madhavaya Namam, Govinda Namam, Vishnu Namam, Sudhanaya Namam, Vikrama Namam, Vamanaya Namam, Sridharaya Namam, Rishikeshaya Namam, Padmanabhaya Namam, Damodaraya. So we give so many names. This is basically why we do that. We want to remember different names, and sometimes we do it so mechanically, like how I just pronounced. That's the way I put it. That's not the way you should put. You should actually spend at least 1 minute to say Om Keshavaya Namaha, Om Narayana Namaha, Om Madhavaya Namaha, Om Govindaya Namaha. When we actually do that, what happens? We have to bring that particular form of the Supreme Lord and right in front of us. And through this process, the engagement is there and the remembrance is there. At least if you remember Govinda today, okay, that is something very nice. We will remember the beautiful face of Lord Govinda with the cows. And suppose we want to, remember Narayana as a four-handed beautiful form, with Shankha, Chakra, Gada, and Padma. That is very nice. So these are things that we have to remember, and this is called Ananta Rupam. He has got so many endless forms. Then comes Adyam. He is actually the beginning. Purana Purusham, he is actually a very ancient person. Nava Yavanam, he's always youthful. So when Bhagavan gave Bhagavad Gita, he was more than 100 years old. But does he look like that with the old beard and everything? No, he looks Nava Yavana. He's always eternally youthful and blissful. Vedeshu, basically the Vedas. Durlabham, he is actually inaccessible. Ati Durlabham, he is very easy to obtain for all the devotees. And for whom? For those who are Atma Bhakta, who are actually showing pure devotional service. And this Govinda, Brahmaji says, I want to worship. I am worshipping this supreme personality of Govinda. Bhajami means worship. So the actually when we look at it, this is actually so beautiful. When we talk, on one side we say Krishna is born, but we say he's without a beginning. And on one side we are saying that Krishna is actually he's eternal, but he appears in Braj. On the other side, we say Krishna is without an origin, but he has an origin through his transcendental parents. So, if you look at it, that it's the quality, the appearance, the pastimes, everything of Krishna is so diverse, and it might sound to be contradictory at times, but it is not the case. But still, what we do, we relish all these pastimes. We talk about him, whether it is Damodaran, whether it is Janmashtami, or whether it is any, whether it is Puri Jagannath Ratha Yatra, we actually glorify him on various kinds of pastimes. So just by studying the Vedas, it is very clear that we are not going to understand Bhagavan. So here, Bhagavan comes in various forms, like Rama, Narasimha, Vamana, and so many other beautiful pastimes. And as we all know, there are 8.4 million species Prabhupada mentions in this particular purport. So here we have seen there are 6 groups, as we all know. We have aquatics, we have trees, we have insects, we have birds, animals, humans, etc. But Bhagavan is not actually, he has much more forms than this, because he can manifest in whatever form. Today he can manifest as a fish. Tomorrow he can manifest as an animal. He can manifest as a Narahari, like Narasimhadev Bhagavan. So it is entirely up to him. And as devotees, we have to continuously relish the beautiful forms. So here, the last part, basically, the devotee, should have the inclination to worship, right? He has to have the inclination to worship the Supreme Lord, and he has to have engaged in beautiful devotional service. So here, again, Hanumanji says that I know there's no difference between Mother Sita and Rama, Lakshmi and Narayana, but nevertheless, I would like to see the form of Rama and Sita. So each one of us also have this kind of a liking, right? Sometimes, we talk about Radha and Krishna, there are some devotees who want to see, even within the Radha Krishna form, some devotees want to go only to Vrindavan and see Radha and Krishna. Some devotees want to go only to Mayapur and see Radha Krishna. Some devotees want to see only Lord Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, Sudarshana. So it's just how we invoke the different forms. Bhagavan is also happy with that. He doesn't say, "Oh, you didn't come to me in this temple." No, he doesn't feel like that. He also very happy. As long as the devotee is showing that loving transcendental service, wholehearted, ahituki, apratihata, yayatma, suprasiddhi, I think that is what is more important. And Bhagavan is actually only very keen in the reciprocation. So with that, I would like to conclude today's class. Thank you very much for your patient hearing. Sorry if I have actually crossed the time limit. So thank you very much once again for giving me the opportunity to talk a few words on Srimad Bhagavatam, and forgive me if I have not done complete justice to the class today. And please bless me that I should do better justice in the future classes. So thank you very much. If there are any doubts, please feel free to discuss. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. You've taken a very elaborate class. As Krishna is diverse, you covered so many diverse topics today. It's really wonderful. Starting from all the Krishna's expansion, Garbhadaksha Vishnu, Karanadaksha Vishnu, Shirodaksha Vishnu, and also how Lord Brahma created different living entities, how the demons and other individuals created. So how the Lord is a supreme anadi, the primeval force behind this universe. Everything we see is now the immediate cause before our eyes. But the root cause, nobody sees. The root cause is Krishna. Sarva Karana Karana. So that is an intelligent way of seeing the Supreme Lord behind the screen of this material creation. So very beautifully explained. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for your time and efforts in enlightening all the assembled devotees here. Definitely, I think the devotees might have been got inspired. And anyone has any questions or comments related to today's verse or this canto or any chapter in this Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, I will unmute now. So you can ask Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for giving me this wonderful opportunity.
Sudarshan Vasudev, Prabhu.
Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I think everybody has got so much clarity after this class.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu has cleared.
Clarity, or I have successfully confused. Clarity or successfully confused?
No. You covered all those aspects.
Yes.
So those who attended the class, in the way like Bhagavatam is to be heard, the rapt attention, attentive hearing, then there is no scope for any doubt.
Actually, Prabhuji, 2 or 3 days ago, I was telling Manoharini that I had a very strange dream. I don't know. Bhagavan is giving me a message which I'm continuously neglecting. Looks like, I'm actually I don't know why I'm saying this, but I thought they're all devotees, so I thought it's important for me to share this. I'm going somewhere. I don't remember where. And there are a lot of Vaishnavas, devotees who are just coming on the opposite side. And one Vaishnava is coming to me and telling me, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. So it was like a slap on my face that, oh my God, Krishna is continuously telling me read Bhagavatam, but I'm not doing so. So, this is, with this opportunity that, that complete Bhagavad Smaran. So please pray for me that I should read Bhagavatam every day and not take mundane excuses, citing material reasons for this. So please, I would like to seek your blessings, all of your blessings, that I should be sincere in my devotional service and reading Bhagavatam.
Surely, Prabhuji, you are so lucky that Prabhupada and Bhagavan are getting. Once Prabhupada came in your dream.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Now, other devotees, a group of devotees came. All
no,
good
Prabhuji,
omens,
they are coming to my dream because I'm so fallen and I'm almost to be written off. They are coming and telling me, please don't get written off.
No, that is you are because
they are coming because you are Vasta.
Another way of seeing it. So you are very what is called dear to them.